I'm so glad you decided to join us today. This is the Words for Life podcast, and I'm your host, Terrence Farrell, aka T Farrell. And we have an amazing show, amazing episode today. I have somebody I consider a sister from my church, so it's gonna be real good. But before we get started, just in case you don't know about Be More Today, Be More Today is a company that's designed to inspire you to make the rest of your life the best part of your life. And we've got a Be More Today book. We've got Be More Today music. It's an inspirational company that it's nice to be part of a group of positive people. And that's what Be More Today is. So I encourage you to check out our website. It's BeMoreToday.com, all spelled out. It can't get any easier than that. We have a fitness group linked through Strava. So it's just real cool. Check us out. Words for Life is actually a ministry that's under Be More Today. So that's where we reside, under the Be More Today umbrella. Just want to let you know about that. You can follow us on, where are we? Everywhere. We're everywhere. Facebook and Instagram. It's Be More, the number 2 day. So you can find us there. Follow us, DM us. You can, like what we're doing, and join us. Become a part of the family. But I just want to let you know about that in case you're not a part of the family already. Now, I had a friend let me know that September is Suicide Awareness Month, and I have a guest that has agreed to talk about that, talk about the topic. Her name is Lyssandre. I messed it up. Lyssandre Emmanuel. I was trying to be French and it didn't work. Lyssandre Emmanuel. She's Haitian American. Loves music and singing. As a matter of fact, she was the choir director for Exaltation for years. I don't know how many years. Loves to dance. She's family oriented. Loves to make people smile. I always consider her like the life of the party. When she walks in the party, it gets a little bit brighter. She has a BA in psychology, and mental illness awareness is very important to her. One of the reasons why I brought her on today. Boys and girls, ladies and gentlemen, help me welcome Lyssandre Emmanuel. How you doing?
I am great.
Name because I call you Lisi. I call her Lisi.
You can call me Lisi. Lisi is fine.
Yes.
Everybody calls me Lisi.
There we go. So, Lisi, how you doing?
I'm great.
That's good.
It's Monday. I made it through work.
Nice.
I'm alive.
There we go.
I got this thing to behave.
Hey, there you go. Winning. So, it was one communion where we were at church and they asked for testimonies, and people give testimonies. Hey, this, that, the kind of the standard testimonies that you're always used to hearing. And then you gave a testimony. And what I remember from the testimony, it sounded to me, and what my memory says, you almost took your life, but you're glad that you're still here. And it was like, what? Not Lisi. No, she makes everybody laugh. How could, no? And so I just wanted you to, I guess, discuss what had happened, or as you can be as general or as detailed as you want, and how God brought you through it.
Okay. So what happened was, well, oh boy, I'm going to tell y'all a lot today. So I do suffer from depression, and I didn't exactly almost take my life. I'm going to get into psychology just a little bit. So there's being suicidal, and there's something called suicidal ideation. It's more like thinking about, I wish I wasn't here. And that's more of like what I experienced at that time. And honestly, from time to time in my life, it's just like, I don't want to be here. I'm over everything. Everything seems gloomy. I'm in despair. And sometimes it's not for any particular reason. It's not because I lost a job. It's not because I broke up with someone. It just comes. So I'm big on mental wellness, mental illness awareness, because you can't see it. It's not like leukemia or cancer where you can go to the doctor and they could say, oh, this is the blood count and this is this. It's in your head. It's the chemicals in your head and you can't test it, can't do anything with it. So you're going to see me smiling and everything, but I have the demons inside that people may never see. So my testimony was that the birthday before that communion, I was feeling really depressed. I call it like my low wave. I named it. So, and I just feel in despair. I didn't want to be alive anymore. And it's a sad thought, but I was thinking, you know what? If I die today on my birthday, then no one has to remember me and be sad for 2 days a year. Because, you know, people who pass away, you remember them on their birthday and then you remember the anniversary of their death. And to me, I was like, well, it'll just be one day. So this will make it easier for everyone. I know that doesn't make sense, but that's what I was thinking. And that's what, I didn't do it. I didn't do anything. I've never attempted suicide. But there are some times when the chemicals are not flowing right. And I don't want to be here. I don't care about life. I'm not like, oh, I can't wait to see this age and I can't wait till tomorrow. I literally don't care about anything. But if you pass me in the street, I will smile and say good morning to you. So it's really hard. And I don't know if everyone remembers like the story of Robin Williams. He made everybody laugh. That was kind of his job, right? But he took his life and anyway.
Yeah.
So I've never attempted suicide. Okay. But I do have times where I don't want to be here anymore. And I tell God, I'm like, you know, if I go to sleep tonight, I don't have to wake up tomorrow. But I do believe in God. I worry because, you know, they say, like, if you take your life, then you can't ask for forgiveness because you're dead. You can't ask for forgiveness. But also, like, in little ways, through people and through a random sermon I might listen to or somebody's words, even something I see on Instagram or Facebook, God lets me know, like, it's okay. It's going to be okay. And he reminds me, which I try to remind people, that this world is a rest stop. So don't worry if you're feeling that way. We were never intended to feel this way, even though it does happen. But in the end, if you believe in God and you go to heaven, we won't feel like this anymore. So I try to think of that. Does it always work? I don't know. But he's bringing me through. And it's a lot of times it's in the form of friends or someone randomly texts me or something and says, hey, I just thought about you, just letting you know you made me smile the other day. And I'm like, oh, wait, I do have a purpose in this world. So it's stuff like that. So I can't say specifically that God got me through that moment. Like he didn't come and tap on my shoulder and say, hey, Lise, you're going to be okay. But there's always something that makes me feel like, oh, you know what? I guess it's not the best thing to die, even though at that moment I'm feeling that way. That was long-winded.
No,
okay.
No,
I hope that answered your question.
No, but it's fine because here's the deal. There's like you said, you can't see it. So you don't know who's going through it. And I think you're helping people that you would have never thought. It's like, well, I'm like, you're going, no, not you, but you can't see it, like you said. And the people that seem like they're always mad and always depressed, they might not go through it ever. So it's one of those things you can't figure out. I'm blown away by your openness. And one of the questions that I had, I think it's great because it lets people know that they're not crazy. You know, there was I
I
remember.
mean, we all a little bit crazy,
Yeah, yeah,
but
yeah,
it's a good thing for all of us to have a little piece of that in us.
yeah, 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 yeah. I remember one time, I thought about suicide, and it wasn't a dark place. It was just, I don't know. I think I heard a sermon or something, and it was like heaven is this great place, and it's like it's way better than this world. And it's like, so
So
what?
why am I
Why am I? What am I waiting for? Like, let's go now. And then, I spoke to my mom and she's like, well, you can't ask for forgiveness so you won't make it to heaven. I'm like, oh, makes sense.
here?
Makes sense. Yeah. But your openness, did you ever think about, after sharing, now people are like, oh, she's suicidal. Hi, Lisi. It's going to be okay. And it's like, oh, get away from me.
Uh, honestly, at the moment, I wasn't. I felt impressed.
Okay.
I'm gonna say it's from the Holy Spirit. So in the moment, I wasn't thinking if I share this, people will. It was just burning in me, like you have to say something. You have to say this. So I didn't really think of the consequences or repercussions. I
Right.
just found myself talking. And it's only afterwards when people started coming up to me like, oh, I didn't know. I was like, oh, yeah, that does come with it. Like now people are going to ask me, they're going to say, oh, are you okay? Or, I didn't know. Of course you didn't know. I didn't tell you.
Right. Yeah. Yeah.
I don't hold a sign up.
Hmm.
Um, I'm a person who's naturally always smiling. Like my default is to smile. If I'm nervous, I'm smiling. Like if I'm in a room and I'm nervous, I'm like this. Meanwhile, I'm throwing up in my mouth. And like so yes, you see me always smiling. And my personality is like a nice person. So good morning. Hi. Yeah, that's how I am.
Hmm.
But it in no way reflects how I feel inside. And I think it's important for people to know that depression doesn't look like this. Hi, God. Like what's the character in Winnie the Pooh? Eeyore,
I,
whatever.
I don't know.
The
I don't
sad
know what
donkey. Somebody out there knows who I'm talking about.
Okay, all right, whatever.
So there's a sad donkey on Winnie the Pooh, the cartoon, and he just walks around like, hey guys. And it's like depression doesn't look like that.
Hmm.
It doesn't. It doesn't mean I walk around looking sad. And it's really difficult because when you try to explain it to someone, they're like, but you're always smiling. And I see memes that say, but you're always smiling. And the other person says, oh, I'm sorry, I forgot to bring my rain cloud with me today.
Hmm.
Like, that's kind of what I want to say. I'm like, oh, I'm sorry. Should I just walk around looking sad? Would that make you understand me better? But then you won't want to be my friend if I'm always miserable. Like, so it's very difficult. And it's also hard to explain.
Hmm. Hmm.
Because like I said, if it's one of the known physical illnesses, like I pick cancer because everyone knows like cancer, no, bad. And you overcome it, amen. But you can't test it. You can't. It's literally only what I tell you. And
Right.
then people get scared. If I say, yeah, I don't feel like being alive today, everyone's like, no, don't feel that way. And I'm like, but I do. I'm not going to do anything. I'm
Right.
not going to commit suicide. I've never thought to go through with anything like that. But,
Hmm.
no one knows how to be your friend. And really, you just want to be there for someone.
Hmm.
Just be there.
Yeah, and I was gonna dig into that more. So now, if you know someone that's going, what'd you call it, suicidal ideations?
Oh, you learning.
Yes, yes, I am running. Um, if you know someone like this, what do you do? Because you feel like, okay, should I hug them? Should I pat you on the back? And go, it's gonna be fun. God loves you. You know that, right? And you feel like that's a stupid thing to say. It's.
I'm going to be okay. In all honesty, when I'm in like my dark place,
Mhm.
I have so many names for it. My cave, my low wave, my dark place. When I'm there, if someone says joy comes in the morning, I'm like this. And exactly which morning is that? Because I've been sad for 3 days now. Is it going to be Tuesday or Wednesday? Like, are you going to let me know? So I kind of shoo away positivity. I'm not going to lie. I'm like, yeah, I know he carries my burdens, whatever. Like, I don't want to hear it. I'm going to speak for me because I think everyone is going to be different.
Right. No,
if the person is your friend, anyone listening to this, if they're your friend, just be there for them. You don't have to fix them. You can't. You can't fix them. It's a thought process. And what I would suggest is don't tell them, think positive thoughts, because it's a literal chemical imbalance and the person suffering from it feels like they literally can't think positively. So it's not like, nah, I'm going to be mad today. It's like, oh, I'm trying to be like, let me think about my blessings. Let me think about how God has got me through. And you're just like, nope, still don't want to be here. Like it's,
yeah.
So I would tell someone, don't tell them to be happy. Don't say everything's going to be okay, because at the end of the day, you can't guarantee that everything's going to be okay. But you can say, hey, I'm here. You can check on them more often. Me, I don't like to talk as much when I'm sad. So I prefer text, because I'll answer your text. Because if I have to talk to you and you have to look at me, I'm going to be like this. What with a text, I can be like, oh, you're checking on me, but you're not like, rah, rah, Jesus loves you. Right. I know he loves me, but I'm still sad. Okay.
Right.
So just be there. Just, hey, how you doing? And for me, it even works if I'm talking to someone and they tell me about their day. Like, I don't want to talk about me right now because I hate everything going on with me. So they ask me, how you doing? I'm doing terrible. How are you? I don't need you to come and go, You don't have to do that. Just, if I say, how are you? Tell me how you're doing. Engaging in a normal conversation helps me. But if it's someone who's your friend or I would suggest talking to them. Like, hey, when you're feeling like that, what do you think would help you? Ask them. Do you want me to hug you? Do you want a hug? Do you want me to come over? Is it okay if I just check on you?
Right.
If you sent them a Bible verse, did you like when I sent you a Bible verse? And they're like, nah, I didn't do anything for me. Okay, noted. Just talk to them. What do you like? What works for you? You want to hug? No, don't want to hug. Okay, cool. Pound. Everyone's going to be a little different. Some people might want to be hugged. Me, I'm like, just act normal, even though I'm kind of not acting normal, to bring me back to normalcy. But that's me.
Right.
So everyone will be a little different.
And one of the things that I read is that because someone that doesn't suffer from, or I'll say somebody that's ignorant about it.
Yeah.
They feel like, okay, I'm not going to talk about it, or I don't want to, because it's like, oh, I might send her over the deep end. If I say the word suicide, it's like, oh, it might be a trigger word. And I've found out that that's a myth. It's totally the opposite. Talking about it, actually, I don't know. It puts everything out in the open.
Yeah.
Is it right?
It makes you feel me. It makes me feel like, oh, this is okay. This is something people go through. This is my life. I'm not every day thinking I want to die, but there are portions and times where I'm like, it's not going to be a good one. And there's nothing you can say. But if you say suicide, I'm not going to say, what? Suicide? Yeah! Let me do it. No, I'm actually like, oh, I'm more like, wait a minute, you want to know about it? Okay, let me tell you more about how I feel. Or let me tell you about suicide in general. Let me tell you what I learned. Let me tell you what I'm dealing with. It makes me feel more normal. It makes me feel like you care. If you want to talk about the issues I'm dealing with. Imagine if trying to think, you're going through some money troubles and everyone's like, don't ever say money in front of her. That doesn't help me. I mean, you could give me some money. Actually, I want to see money. Just give me the money if I haven't. So don't shy away from it. It doesn't make the person want to do it more. It's more like, okay, you want to have a conversation And that's actually comforting. I know it's hard because you know, if you're not dealing with it, it's hard to wrap your mind around the fact that someone's sad for no reason. People are sad because they lose things or things hurt. But I wake up and I'm like, this is the worst day ever. Did anything happen? No, I just woke up. I woke up like this. But really, I did. Like, I just wake up sometimes and I'm like, it's bad. And it feels like the end of the world. I'm in despair. And as I start thinking, all the little negative thoughts jump on the bandwagon in my head. There's a bandwagon in my head, by the way. So they jump on the bandwagon and they're like, oh, we're being negative today? Yes, negativity. And so now I'll think of like, oh man, I should be exercising more. Oh man, why did I say that to that person? Every possible negative thought will now attach itself because I'm already a little sad. It's like it becomes a negative party and it'll like put me into a hole. And then I can wake up the next day like, oh, I'm good. Let's go party. And I can't even explain why I'm like this. So you don't ask the person, anyone who's dealing with this, they probably can't even explain it themselves, but they can talk about how they feel.
Right.
I can't tell you why I'm like this. You got to talk to God when you get to heaven because I have to ask him too. I'm still trying to figure it out.
Now let's talk about people that take it to the next level, that actually they make an attempt to go through with it. And there's signs that maybe the average person might miss, or they go, they're just looking for attention or whatever. What are the I guess, what are the normal signs, or what should a person do if they see those signs? Or it could be anything, could it?
It could. I mean, I don't know if I can say they're signs, but if it's your friend, acquaintance, listen, don't ignore the fact that someone says, I wish I wasn't alive. Sure, they could be just saying it for that time, but what if they're not? Maybe you don't address it right away. Maybe the next day you said, man, you kept saying yesterday you don't want to be alive. Like, is that true? Do you really not want to be alive? It's a simple question. And they could be like, you know what? Yeah, I really don't. Or they could say, I was just having a bad day. Ask. Right. If you hear little statements that sound like, oh, that's dark, ask. Say, man, you laughed when someone talked about death. Death is funny to you? You can make it casual. Just ask. Just ask. Don't overlook things because you just never know. I can't tell you that there's a specific sign like, oh, their left eye turned at a right angle. And, like, I don't know. Everyone's a little bit different. So just, when you hear things that sound a little odd to you, right. And even if it's not about suicide, it could be about anything. Right. Someone could be going through any kind of trouble and they say something weird. And sometimes you're just like, don't say something. Just don't let it go. Because anybody's sign could be different, I think. Right. I'm not an expert. I'm just living the life. So if you ask me, I don't think I would have a sign, but there's days where if you talk to me often, like maybe I'll say a lot. And now you talk to me and I'm like, hey, you're like, that's weird. She's never like that.
Right.
That could be a sign.
Right.
If something odd or different, ask.
Right.
If you care about the person, say, hey, what's going on? You seem a little sad today. Or you mentioned such and such the other day. What's up with that? Anything.
Yeah.
Just don't ignore.
Right. And I think
one more thing. Sorry.
That's all right.
Because I've felt personally lonely in that time because I do recognize, I'm aware that it's very hard for people who are not experiencing depression or suicidal thoughts to understand it. Because they like, when with Robin Williams and Kate Spade, they're like, that's so selfish. Why would they do that? Why would they leave their family behind? And I kind of want to say to people who are saying those comments, if you only knew the despair, oh my gosh, I almost started tearing up just now. If you only knew the despair that one could feel, you would understand why they ended it. Because it legitimately feels like my life is a train wreck. And the hardest part is that you can logically recognize your blessings. You could say, I'm blessed. I have a job. I didn't get fired during COVID. I didn't get the virus. All my family's alive. Like, imagine understanding logically all those things and recognizing you're blessed, and then somehow still feeling like your whole family just died on a plane. You can't explain that to someone, because that's what I feel. When I'm in that state, I feel legit despair. Like, you would have thought someone executed my family in front of me. Like, I feel like that. Like, I'm tearing up. I'm like, life is not worth living. And then on the other side of my brain, I don't really know what side of the brain it doesn't matter. On the other side of my brain, it's like, you're blessed. You have this. You're cute.
Hey, hey.
You cute. You have a job. You're doing well. Like, things are going good for you. Like, and you look at everyone else. You're like, I'm actually doing better than a lot of people, and you still feel the despair. You can't explain that to someone. So feeling that, and especially not being able to explain it, is so rough, because you're like, what's wrong with me? I'm blessed. Why do I feel like I don't want to live? Why do I feel like the world hates me? People could be checking on me and I'll be like, nobody cares about me. And you just feel that. I can't explain it.
Mm-hmm.
So I don't even know what I was answering anymore. But it's just like, it's rough. It's rough. It's rough. I just want everyone to understand that it's not a logical thing. Right. It is a disease. Mm-hmm. It's an illness that you can't test. You can't get blood work for it. You can't get a transfusion for it. You might be able to take medication for it, but your medication is based on what you tell the psychiatrist. If you don't tell them everything, you might get the wrong thing. And it's hard to share with someone who doesn't understand you. So it's rough. Yeah. Oh, I remember what I was saying. I'm sorry for rambling. But in the times when I'm sad, I feel extra lonely. And I feel like nobody cares about me. So for anyone out there, if you have friends or whatever, you tend to be like, oh, I don't want to talk about suicide. They're feeling that way. Let me leave them alone. Let me let them be sad, because they might want to be alone. Don't leave them alone. I'm not saying harass them. Right. But don't leave them alone, because that could lead to more feelings of like, oh, nobody really and truly, no one cares about me. Because I just told someone I was really sad and on the verge of death, and they were like, okay, I'll leave you alone. You'll leave me alone to die? So I'm laughing, but it's not funny. No, I just laugh at everything. I've come to laugh at everything dark. So if you know me, I'll make a joke out of really not great things. But that's because I feel my life is rough sometimes, mentally. Mm-hmm. Outside the bigger picture, it's a good life. But in my head, it's rough sometimes. So I'm like, I have to laugh about it. Mm-hmm. So no, I hope I answered the question, because I think I went off. Listen, it's not for you to answer. It's not like this question needs to be checked off. Okay. It's for people to understand. Okay. Both sides, because some people might be feeling like, yo, I'm the only one that's going through this. Like nobody and to hear you, it's like, oh, somebody gets me. I don't know her personally, but she gets me, and she's explaining it to other people. It might be better than they could ever explain it, because they don't. I hope so. Yeah, they don't feel like they can be open, because they feel like they'll be stigmatized. Oh, that's that suicidal person. Oh, that's that dog person. Okay, every time you see them, make sure you say Jesus love. And right, people come at you the wrong way, and it's not about that. And just be regular. Right. Regular. And it will, well, for anyone who is suffering and listening, there will be a lot of people who just won't understand you. It sucks, but you're gonna have to deal with that. I come from a West Indian family. West Indians have a tendency to not wrap their mind around mental illness. They're like, suck it up, just do what you gotta do. My family is a little more understanding, but I still, personally, I don't talk to them about the depression because, I just don't. I don't have a real reason. But there will be some people who are really close to you, good friends and family, who they're not going to understand you. And not everyone will be able to be there for you. And just understand that. You just have to find the few people. Because some of your closest people will be good and they won't know how to deal with that. And it won't be their fault because they have their own experiences, their own lifestyle, which made them think the way they do. That's why they live the way they live. And they're just like, suicide, that's dumb. Like, why would you do? And they feel convicted about that because they are who they are. Hopefully don't let that traumatize you. Just understand that everyone's just not going to get it because this world is sinful. And until Jesus comes, there's going to be a lot of jacked up stuff. And I don't want to say suck it up, but you just have to understand that, yes, you will be stigmatized by some people. Everyone's not going to be like, oh, I get it. Some people are going to say, I don't. And they'll look at you and like, sorry. And that's all they can say. And just know that it doesn't mean they don't care about you. It's just that they're not necessarily equipped to handle that part of your life, maybe,
That's a good way to put it. They're not equipped because of everything they've gone through.
Yeah.
Yeah. I really appreciate this. Is there anything else, and you might say no because you just said everything, but is there anything else you want to leave people with before we wrap it up?
I will say if you know someone who might be struggling with it, I think a good idea is to research it. I'm not talking about writing a paper. Just look up what are symptoms of depression. What can I do to help? Google is great, guys.
It is.
Get on Google and say seasonal depression. What are the different kinds of depression? Because then it'll sort of explain to you what it's about, maybe how you can help. But at the end of the day, talk to the person because everyone's different. And just be open-minded. No one's going to think like you. You might not be able to understand it. That's okay. Nobody understands every single thing. They don't. But I would say definitely, there's so much material on it. And you'd be surprised. You might read it and say, oh, shoot, I'm depressed too. There's like smaller versions. There's full-blown depression. There's like cyclothymia, dysthymia, like bipolar disorder. And it doesn't mean you're walking around talking to yourself. There are functional people in society doing great things and silently suffering. So doesn't mean you're going to go crazy. Doesn't mean anything. Read up on it. I try to like send little memes, little funny things, like just to make people aware. That's how I do it. So I like to laugh. But that's it. Yeah. Just one little article could make a big difference. Like, oh, that's what she was trying to say to me. Anything like that.
That's good. That's good information. One of the big takeaways that I took away from everything that you said is don't try to fix it. And a lot of times we always try to fix it. It's like, oh, she's upset. I got to make her happy. It's up to me. If I don't make her happy, then it's on my neck. And it's like, jack it up more, trying to it's like, get away from me, man.
No, listen, I honestly I'm not going to lie. Oh, I have one more thing to say. Oh, gosh.
Go ahead.
Okay. So I'm not going to lie. I believe that I've pushed people away. I know I have. Because when I'm sad or whatever, I don't want to talk as much. And, I give you short answers. And it's likely that the person trying to reach out is like, well, she obviously doesn't want to talk because, look how she's responding and look how she's talking. And so I have to tell myself, Lisi, if you do certain things, even if it's because you're feeling depressed right now, you have to understand that you're pushing people away, and then it becomes harder because you push them away, and then you're like, nobody likes me, but you push them away. And I had to recognize that. I have to say, well, you keep telling people, leave me alone. If you tell people, leave me alone, or you don't answer when they call you or text you, then they're going to stop after a while. So it's like, it's hard to balance because you don't want to talk to anyone, but you're like, I'm alone. so it's difficult, but you know what? God is good. And I'm still praying about it. I don't necessarily think it's something that it's like a chain that's going to be broken. I think it's possibly something I might just deal with for the rest of my life. And I just have to find ways to be proactive about it. I have to learn more about it, learn more about myself to say, okay, well, if you want friends, you can't push people away. I have to talk to myself like, come on. But but it's just a learning process. And if it's something I'm dealing with for the rest of my life, it's not what I want, but it's kind of like, hey, God, can you give me the tools? Can you send me the friends that'll at least be there for me? The sun can shine on this day instead of it raining, because that affects it too. When it's rainy, I'm like, rain, woe is me, I'm slain. So there's so many things that affects it, but God steps in his little ways, even when it's through people. So I don't know. I hope I helped someone. I don't know. It's a lot to deal with, but I'm living life. I still go to work. I do take mental health days. Sometimes I wake up and I'm like, no, I'm not doing this today. And I jump back into bed like this. Like I dive back in. And with one eye open, I text my boss and I'm like, not gonna make it, taking a sick day. And it's because I just can't. And that's okay. It's okay to take a break. It just becomes bad if you can't work anymore. That's when hopefully you have people to step in, intervention. But
now is there ever a time where you would suggest, call a hotline or call? And
I would say if anyone's feeling like this, call a hotline. But I'm gonna be honest with you. When I'm feeling like that, I don't want to call anybody. I'm in therapy. Well, I have a therapist. I can't say I'm in therapy because I don't go often. And she's almost like, why didn't you call me when you were feeling sad? Because when I'm sad, I don't want to talk to anybody. So it's a little hard. So I'm going to encourage anybody to call a hotline, even though I know myself, I'm like, I'm not calling nobody. I'm watching Netflix. So I wanted to do as I say, not as I do.
Somebody,
but yeah, if there's any hotlines, and I know mental health can be expensive. Like a therapist or a psychiatrist, it can be expensive. But the one good thing about our lovely pandemic is that there's so many things that are available online now, and hotlines. They've made so many things available for a phone call. You don't have to leave your house. And that's a big thing too. It's like, go talk to the therapist, but I don't want to leave my house. I didn't even make it out of bed this morning. Who am I going to go and talk to at that time? Nobody. But there's so much. Literally, just type in depression on Instagram, on Facebook, on what are the other ones? Tiki-taki? No, I'm just kidding.
Twitter.
Whatever. But just.
I had somebody call it Tweeter. And I was just like,
whatever. You will find something if you're looking for something. You will find something. You will find a number. Try it out. I encourage everyone, even if you're not dealing with depression, talk to somebody. Talk to someone who's not in your family, who's not in your group, who's objective, and you just can talk. Hey, today I hate everyone and I wanted to throw someone in front of a bus. And they will be like, oh, so why did you feel that way? No. Well, did you do it? I didn't. That's good. I'm glad. Don't push anyone in front of a bus. whatever they do. I don't know. But, I don't know. I encourage the hotlines. I encourage kind of everyone to see someone who's outside of your circle. It's kind of good to talk to someone who's not your friend, or, they can't say, oh, you did what? They don't know you. They don't know anybody you're talking about.
Right.
You can curse everybody out if you wanted to. And they'll be like, interesting.
Right.
That's it. And if you do find a therapist, for anyone out there, and you don't like them, change it. Don't ever talk to someone just like, oh, I need this, I have to do it. No, there are too many people out there for you to not be comfortable with someone that's getting money to talk to you. Okay?
Good
That's
information. See,
that's not something you say, no, this is your mental health. Your mental health can make you physically deteriorate. Because when I'm sad, I feel more tired. I'm more lethargic. Like, it affects my body. So you don't want to play with that. I think that's it. I'll probably have so much more to say, but I don't remember right now.
That's all right. That's all right. If you do, we'll do a part 2. We'll get you back.
We'll see.
Okay. All right. No problem. I appreciate you, Lisi. I really do. I really do. Yeah.
I'm honored to talk about this. I didn't used to talk about it, but it's so important to life and well-being. And I know there's so many people out there who don't even know they might have a mental illness, or who are worried that they feel alone. No. Look at me. I smile at okay, I don't smile at everybody. Most of the time I'm smiling and I'm friendly, but it's a struggle. It can be a struggle. So you're not alone. That's it. Yeah, you're not alone. Even though you're going to feel like it. I can't say you're not going to feel alone, but know that you are not alone.
All right. This has been the Words for Life podcast. We appreciate Lisi for sharing. Take what she said to heart. There's a whole lot of pointers in there. If you need to play this again to understand how to deal with a loved one, a friend, do it. If it blessed you, share it with somebody else. And that's all. We'll see you next Wednesday. Thanks again. And since we're in the middle of Suicide Awareness Month, we're going to play a Words for Life track, End Your Pain, Not Your Life, featuring Etzel Cadet.
There's a lie in the church that people who have faith should never suffer from suicidal ideation. And that's just not reality. Just because you have faith doesn't mean you're protected from pain, and people can never predict how you're going to respond to pain. People think that they understand your pain, but they really honestly don't, because they don't know how you're experiencing what you're going through. Even if they've gone through the same thing or something similar, you're a different person, so it hits you differently. But your pain does not have to define your life. See, for many people who have come to the edge and who have maybe even attempted suicide, if they have survived their attempt, many people say that they didn't want their life to end, but what they wanted to end was their pain. And the question I think we need to wrestle with is, do I want my life to end, or do I want my pain to end? And there is a way to end your pain without ending your life. See, just because you have faith doesn't mean that you'll never wonder and that you'll never think about taking your life. Even Elijah, the prophet of God, at one point asked God to take his life. In 1 Kings chapter 19, verse 4, he literally asked God to end his life. And God, being a wise and loving God, responds to him with empathy and with encouragement. First thing that God does to help bring Elijah back from the edge is that God gives Elijah some food. This tells us that sometimes we're down, sometimes we're depressed, sometimes we're on the edge because of how our body is enduring or going through what we're dealing with. Sometimes it's just that we're tired. Sometimes it's just that we're hungry. Sometimes it's that we're exhausted. And when our body is depleted, our thoughts will also reflect what's going on with our bodies. The other thing that God does is that God changes Elijah's perspective. Elijah believes that he's the only prophet in all of Israel that is still honoring and worshiping the one true God. And isn't it just like us to believe from time to time that I'm the only one who's going through this? I'm the only one who understands. I'm the only one who's in this situation. So God has to let Elijah know the perspective you have is not accurate. Yes, you're in pain. Yes, you're lonely. Yes, you're tired. But there are 7,000 other prophets that have not bowed the knee to Baal. And this encourages Elijah, one, for him to recognize that, hey, I need some food in my life. I need to take care of my body. But then two, for him to recognize that his perspective is not permanent, that his perspective is not the reality, and that there is a greater reality at hand. The reality is there are others who are still experiencing what he's experiencing, and they're holding on. And this encourages Elijah for him to realize, one, I'm not by myself. And two, the same way God has sustained them, God will also sustain me. What I want you to remember is that though you may want your pain to end, that does not mean that your life has to end. There are other ways of ending your pain without ending your life. God ends Elijah's pain by giving him some food. God ends Elijah's pain by shifting his perspective. And God ends Elijah's pain by encouraging him to hold on so that he can come to the point where he recognizes that his life is bigger than his pain. If you're considering ending it, hold on, allow your perspective to change, and your pain will end, and your life doesn't have to. I hope that for somebody who might be considering making a permanent decision based off of a temporary feeling, that this is the kind of message that will encourage you to keep on going. If you're considering committing suicide, call the National Suicide Prevention Lifeline at 1-800-273-8255. 1-800-273-8255.